Hello guys, and welcome to this video. Today I am going to make a Costa Rica travel guide, and I am making this video because I've been in Costa Rica for 1 month and I just picked up a few things that I would have liked to have known before I went there, because there is a lot of things and it's a very nice country, but there is also a lot of downsides. Today I am in a new spot because I am on Easter vacation at my mom's house, so that is where I am right now. I think this background is kind of cute and cozy, so I hope you like it as well. Without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So I have once again allied myself with my notebook, and I have a whole list of things I want to mention to this video. So just sit back and relax, and then now we'll start. So the first thing I would like to mention is the weather in Costa Rica is very tropical, and especially on the Caribbean side. We were told that it can rain just spontaneously from 1 minute to the other, and then it can stop again and then come again, and it's just very unreliable. You never know when the rain is coming on the Caribbean side. On the Pacific side, there is more of a season, so it mostly rains there in, you know, the seasons where it rains. So it's a bit different on that side, but I'm pretty sure if you go to Costa Rica you will want to see both sides, because they both have some incredible things and stuff to see. So you'll probably want to go to both sides, especially because Costa Rica isn't that big of a country. But I've just said that it's pretty important to have some rain clothes with you, and or maybe a poncho, rain poncho, or some covers for your backpack as well, because as I said, it is very unreliable. You never really know when it's going to rain. So that's just a bit of a tip to bring, and we didn't really have any. I only had a rain poncho with me. My boyfriend didn't have any rain clothes at all, and he regretted not bringing something like that. So if you have a rain poncho or a rain jacket and you're only going to Costa Rica, then maybe you should pack it, because it's very nice to have. So next thing is that Costa Rica is a very beautiful country, and you probably already know some things about Costa Rica, and they are very famous for all their national parks and their amazing nature and wildlife. And there is a couple of famous national parks, and one of the first ones I'm going to mention is Manuel Antonio National Park, and it's probably one of the most famous national parks in Costa Rica. And we didn't actually visit it because we weren't in that area and we didn't really have time to go visit that park, but our friend did, and he said it was very nice, and he actually saw a big spider, so that was pretty crazy, and some monkeys as well. There's also a park that's called Cahuita National Park, and it's on the Caribbean side, and we didn't visit that either, but our friend visited that as well, and he was very close to some monkeys that he saw. So he said that it was an amazing experience, and you can walk there for like 4 hours. It's a very long trip, and it's close to the ocean, so it's a very beautiful park, I would imagine. And an amazing fact about Costa Rica is that 51% of Costa Rica is forest, so there is just a lot of forest in that country, and it's very amazing. They are very protective of it as well, and I think it's incredible that it is like that. A place we did visit is called El Salso, and it's placed in La Fortuna, and it's where we grabbed the rope and it was hanging on a tree, and then we could jump out into the water. It was so crazy and so scary, I'll tell you. It doesn't seem that scary, but it is so scary. But it was very cool to try. I got very sore in my arms as well, because you really have to lift yourself up. It's very crazy. Try it if you want to, because it's very nice, and it's a free activity as well. On the Caribbean side, also in Puerto Viejo, there is a place called Jaguar Rescue Center, which is a very amazing place where they rescue animals that's been hurt in the nature. A lot of sluts and some wild cats as well, and everything. They've actually never had a jaguar, but it sounds nice for their title, so they haven't had one yet, but they also said they don't really have space for one, so they don't really hope that it's going to happen, because then they would be in trouble because they don't have enough space. And that is because the center is not financed by the state, so all the money they have is only from the customers coming to see all the animals. And the amazing thing about it is that they are rehabilitating all these animals to let them out in the wild again. And I think that's a very great thing they do there, because they don't just have them as a zoo. They actually rehabilitate them so they are able to go out into the wild again. Oh, only that it's not all of the animals that are capable of going back out there because they have been too hurt or something like that, but they really do what they can. So that's a big recommendation for you to go there if you ever go to Costa Rica, because then you can support them by buying in their shop and buying tickets for seeing all the animals and stuff. And I think it's an amazing project. And also about that, you can actually volunteer there and then work with the animals and just get an amazing experience. And I would totally do that if I had the time, because it seems so nice. And the people there working, they were also very nice, and you just get an amazing experience for life. And then we were told that it is completely illegal all over Costa Rica to take photos, selfies, whatever, with animals, at least wildlife animals. That is a no-go. You cannot do that because it's illegal. And then another thing, we were told you should never feed wildlife, because she told us a story about a bird that living permanently at the center because it was hand-feeded by humans and it forgot how to fish itself, so it couldn't survive out there because it ate, you know, trash and all the stuff the people gave it, and it was just a horrible thing. So don't feed wildlife animals, please. Don't do that. Okay, so the capital of Costa Rica is San Jose, and I would say that you need to be careful when you are in San Jose, because it doesn't really feel safe, especially when it's night. Because we met some girls along on the trip and they were taken to the side by the police there, and they were told to not wear any jewelry because people think it's gold and then they'll rob it from them. So I just need to tell you that you need to be careful, and it's not really a nice city, at least not if you ask us or them or another one of our friends, because it's just really not that nice, and there's just a lot of people and it's just kind of scary. So just be careful, because you are probably going to spend a bit of time there because you probably land there, and if you take local buses then you need to go back to San Jose all the time, but I'll get into that. Next thing is there is a restaurant line thing that's called soda restaurants, and they are all over Costa Rica, and they are good and very cheap and alternatives for eating out, and it's just very nice food. It's local food, so it's a lot of rice and beans, but you can also get hamburgers and all stuff and tacos, and you know, they have a bit of variation on the menu, and as I said, it's cheap compared to any other place that you can eat out in Costa Rica, because I don't know, it's just how it is. So it's just a very nice tip to know that you need to look after soda restaurants because it's cheap and good. And when you eat out, you need to be aware that sometimes they add 10 to 23% extra on the bill, because it's service and taxes that they put on the bill, because it's not included in the prices. But it often says that on the menu, so just be aware about that, because sometimes you can get a shock because it's not included and then it's just 23% more than it should have been. And that leads me to my next point, and it is that Costa Rica is an expensive country. Peanut butter in Costa Rica, at least in Tamarindo, it costs $11. Chicken breast, 500 grams, is also $11. Chips is $6, and a 6-pack of any kind of beer, a local beer, is $10. So it is pretty pricey, but Tamarindo is also one of the most touristy places in Costa Rica, so that's also a part of the deal. More tourism equals more expensive prices. Just be aware here as well, because it is a very expensive country. It is not cheap as Mexico, for example, or Thailand or stuff like that. So just be aware of that before you leave, because you need a lot of money. Then my next point is transport. And that is what got the most trouble for us, because you can take a local bus and it's pretty cheap. It's like $5 to $10 per trip. But the catch about the local buses is that you need to go back to San Jose every single time. So if you are at La Fortuna, then you need to go back to San Jose to get to another place that's a bit longer down in the country on the Pacific side. So you need to use a lot of time if you need to go with local buses, because they don't go directly. It's just very complicated, and it's just so annoying because it would be so cheap if you could always just take the buses. The next alternative for transport in Costa Rica is shuttles, and shuttles are around $60 to $70 per trip, so it's quite expensive actually. But the thing with shuttles is that you can take them directly to the place you need to be, or at least most of them, and that is nice, but it's just expensive. I mean, it's not cheap. And then the third thing I could find is car rent, and it is very expensive. It's $750 per week, but it really is the best thing you can do, because then you can come wherever you want to see in Costa Rica, and it's just the easiest way, but you need a lot of money to rent a car. And then I would just like to say that the roads are good, so it's not scary to drive there, and we had some good experiences both with shuttles and some local buses as well, but you just need a lot of time. I would actually not recommend Costa Rica as a backpacker country unless you have loads of time, so you're able to take the local buses, or you have a lot of money to spend. Because if I were ever to go back to Costa Rica, I would definitely rent a car, because it just is the easiest way to get around, and it's just a nice luxury. And as I said, either you need a lot of time so you can take the local buses and go back to the capital all the time, or you need a lot of money because it is expensive to live there. Also the hotels and hostels, everything is expensive. You know, the food, as I mentioned earlier, is also expensive, and then the shuttles are expensive. So I would also say my boyfriend and I didn't see as much as I had hoped for in Costa Rica because it was just too expensive, and it was the last stop on our trip, and then we didn't have enough money to do all the things we had thought we wanted to do. So I just want to make sure that you know this, because it's an important knowledge to have before you leave. Okay, so if anything looks a bit different, it is because I needed to switch over to my iPhone to film the rest of the video, because my camera went out of power and I forgot my charger for it. So that is why it might look a bit different now. But I were about to speak about that Costa Rica have a lot of amazing opportunities to surf. And we surfed in Tamarindo, and it is a very great place to start surfing. So it's a very good place for beginners. And you can rent boards a lot of different places, and it's about $10 for 5 hours. So it's not that expensive, but you might need some help at first if you haven't surfed before. We found a place in Costa Rica where we rented 2 boards for $20 each, and then we got 2 hours of a surf lesson for free. But we got actually scammed there, so I wouldn't really recommend that place, and I don't even know what the name of it is, unfortunately. And I speak about it in my Costa Rica vlog. I'll link it up here, so you can watch that later if you want. One of our friends actually stayed at a place called La Botella de Leche, which is a surf camp, and he stayed there for 5 nights, and it was around $500 for surf lessons each morning or noon, and free use of the surfboards and everything like that. And he said it was a very nice and social place, so you can meet a lot of people there as well. He liked it a lot, and he was very good to surf when he stopped there, so that was a very nice experience for him. That's just a tip if you would like to go on a surf camp. I want to say that if you do surf in Tamarindo, you need to be careful because there is a tide, and the beach and the ocean around the beach, there is a lot of cliff underwater. So one of the places that you can surf, it is pretty dangerous, I would say, because if you're not a skilled surfer, then you can obviously fall into the water and hit your head or your back, because there is a lot of cliffs underwater, and you don't really see them because there is a tide. You only see them when the tide is like gone, so then you can see all the cliffs, and it's just dangerous. My boyfriend, he scratched his feet a lot, so he got a lot of wounds underneath his foot, and yeah, so you just need to be careful, especially if you're not a very skilled surfer. But there is another place where you can surf where the waves are smaller as well, and that is where we like to surf the most. But the waves does not really come consistently, so they don't really come all the time, so you need to be prepared for when they come. So just, it's a good place to start because it is more easy because the waves aren't that wild. And then there is also Santa Teresa, which is famous for the surf spots they have there. We didn't go there, but we have heard that it's a very nice place to surf. So you can do some research on your own and see what suits you best, because Tamarindo was very good for us because we are beginners at surfing, and it was a very nice experience as well. And we also saw people surf in Puerto Viejo, which is on the Caribbean side. So there is a lot of places in Costa Rica where you can surf, and it is possible a lot of places, so it's amazing if you like to surf. And then I want to speak about the living standards in Costa Rica. We were told that it's kind of westernized, if you can say that, and that it was possible to throw the toilet paper in the toilet and not in trash cans. But the places we were, it was you needed to throw the toilet paper into the trash can. But we were already used to it because we had already been on our trip for 2 months, and in Mexico and Guatemala and stuff, you need to throw it in the trash can as well. So it wasn't a problem for us, but you just need to know the stuff like that. And I think some places you might be able to throw toilet paper into the toilet, but I think that is more fancy places maybe in Costa Rica. Again, with the money, if you go to a nice place, then it might not be a problem, and it's not even a problem. You know, you just need to get used to throwing the paper into the trash can. It's not that bad. And we were actually told that it is possible to drink the tap water, so that is also just a nice tip. If you ever run out of water and you don't really want to use a lot of money on water, then it is possible to drink it. In the end, it is a lot of money you can spend on water if you need to buy it from the supermarket all the time. So it's just a little tip if you would like to save some money there. We actually felt safe everywhere we went in Costa Rica but San Jose. So, you know, by the beach places, Tamarindo, Puerto Viejo, Cahuita, we felt very safe. It was very nice, so we didn't feel scared or anything, not even going out at night. So it was very nice. And there is just a lot of different things you can do. We also went on a coffee cocoa trip, and it was actually one of the nicest trips we ever went on at our whole trip, because we just got some knowledge about coffee and cocoa that we didn't have before. And it was in La Fortuna, and I would really recommend it to any one of you going to Costa Rica, and it wasn't even that expensive. And then you got able to eat a lot of chocolate and drink some coffee, and you also got a little piece of cake, and it was just very nice. And I really think that was very worth it to go. That was very cool. And you know, our guide there, he was so sweet. My next point is language, and a lot of people in Costa Rica actually do speak English because it's also very touristy, and especially in the tourist areas they speak English, which is very nice because we do not really speak Spanish at all, unfortunately. So it's been very hard, for example, in Mexico and Guatemala, because people don't really speak English there at all. So it's been more difficult, but here, or in Costa Rica, they do speak English, a lot of the people we've met at least, and they are very willing to try and help communicate if they do not speak English and you do not speak Spanish. So it's easy to communicate with them, and it's possible to find a way even though they might not speak English, this person you meet. But again, a lot of people do speak English in the supermarkets and in the restaurants and on the tours as well, and you can also book specific tours. We also saw that the Jaguar Rescue Center that I spoke about earlier, there were German tours, French tours, because of all the volunteers. So that is very cool. And then obviously also English and Spanish. It's very nice, and they are very helpful and welcoming, and you know, very sweet people as well. So that was actually it for this video. I really hope that it was helpful to you that are going to Costa Rica, or maybe want to go to Costa Rica, because I really needed a video like this before I left, and I would have liked to know these things before I left, because then I could reconsider if I wanted to go after knowing that it is very expensive and hard to get around there, because it wasn't as I imagined. I really imagined it would be perfect, but it was difficult actually. So it's just nice that you now know these things, and then you can consider if you want to go or not. And if you are going, I just want to wish you a very nice trip. And if you have any questions about Costa Rica that I didn't answer here, then I'll be so happy to help you answer these. So you can just write under the comment section here if you have any questions. You can also go to my Instagram, which is right here, and then I'll be so happy to help you. It will be my pleasure. And if you liked this video and it was a help for you, then please like and subscribe to my channel. It will make me so happy. I am so thankful for you watching. It means so much to me. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video, which might be a Thailand video, who knows. So
Bye.